What are some declassified government documents that are surprisingly terrifying? Project Sunshine, where the US government bought remains of dead infants to test for radiation. When they took limbs from them, the parents were never told. One mother wasn't allowed to dress her daughter for her funeral, because doctors had removed her legs, and didn't want her to find out. Jeffrey Dahmer's full confession, a couple of 100 pages of pure madness. Necrophilia, dismemberment, skinning, lobotomy, body part preservation, cannibalism. Dahmer became pretty close to his interrogating detectives, Dennis Murphy and Patrick Kennedy, and provided a lot of detail to them. A lot of it in a pretty candid, offhand manner. After the My Lai massacre, killing of around 400 to 500 innocent civilians in Vietnam after an army troop killed an entire village, the U.S. government established a group to investigate other war crimes like this occurring in Vietnam, the Vietnam War Crimes Working Group. They found 28 massacres of equal or greater magnitude than My Lai that the public was unaware of, so literally thousands of innocent people killed by US soldiers. The information has since been reclassified, but there were several journal articles on it when it was first released. One US bomber accidentally dropped a nuclear bomb a short distance from a major US city, can't remember which, but luckily it didn't detonate. There are over 50 mishaps with nuclear weapons by the US Air Force in the 1950s alone. In East Germany, a committed freedom fighter and her husband had dealt with having her home raided while she was away, being arrested on the way to protests and all sorts of state-sponsored harassment. After the wall fell, she was able to read the documents the Stasi had kept on her and found out her own husband was an undercover agent and had written many reports on her activities with a bloodless banality. CIA invested millions in trying to make cat spies. Operation Northwoods, a plan for a false flag operation that came from the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Department of Defense in 1962 and given to JFK, who turned it down. The plan called for the CIA to commit terrorist actions against US civilians across the United States and frame Cuba, allowing us the right to invade and depose Castro and the communist government there. It was declassified and can be found online at the JFK Library. Terrifying that no one knows or seems to care that this was suggested by our government to the president. When the Space Shuttle Challenger was destroyed, it was reported that all 7 astronauts were killed instantly. It was revealed decades later that some, if not all of the astronauts survived the initial explosion, as the cockpit cabin had enough protection to not be breached. For 2 minutes and 45 seconds, they were awake and aware, as they plummeted toward the Atlantic Ocean. Understandably, NASA knew that the news of their terrifying death would have crippled the space program even more than it already was. Not declassified documents, but the discovery of the Tuskegee syphilis study on unwitting black American males was pretty fucking horrific. MK Ultra. Partially illegal, forced mind control experiments utilizing psychoactive drugs, conducted by the CIA in 1950s/60s. 2 things come to mind. I think they're called the Pentagon Papers. They detail how America went into Vietnam with no intention of winning, rather to control China in that part of the world. Not creepy but potentially creepy is the JFK assassination papers that get released in October. I'm looking forward to that day. Edit, spelling. Surprised no one has mentioned the Panama Papers. They've been out for a while, but there's been little coverage of them. TLDR of them. Lots of money laundering that was tracked pointed to major governments and global businesses. Edit, Amazon Prime has a series called The Giant Beast that is the global economy. They talk about the Panama Papers in a couple episodes. Let's see who's gonna be the soon-to-be disappeared Redditor who names a currently classified top-secret program. Not declassified but leaked. Operation Yellowhammer. The government tried to say it was old but it had an August date on it. We are planning to cut all homeless people in half in 2025. The UK government. Boeing X-37B unmanned space shuttle. It just spent 720 days in space doing God knows what. Can't remember the source, but apparently there is a legit order signed by Hilter to his nuclear researchers saying if they have a viable nuclear explosive, start loading into V2s immediately. I don't think it's classified, but Project Thor, using a satellite bomber to bomb a city. Imagine, a missile or a bomb coming from space, and before you know it, your city is destroyed by a falling missile/bomb. The MK Ultra mind control experiments. The CIA basically tested various means of mind/suggestibility control through many front organizations. The main intent was to improve interrogation methods, but later expanded into other avenues of research such as making sleeper agents. Tests were performed both with and without knowledge or permission on large numbers or American and Canadian citizens. While some files have been declassified or leaked, the bulk of the files have either been destroyed or remain classified. As a result, larger statistics on the project such as death tolls, numbers of subjects and personnel involved and research gained can only be estimated as of today. Not really terrifying but fucked up, Operation Paperclip, where after World War II the US government took Nazi scientists and shipped them to America to do science. Some of them came straight from Nuremberg cells, the most noteworthy being Wayne von Braun. Von Braun built the V-2 rockets with Jewish slave labor. Every day they would execute the 5 slowest workers in front of the other workers to incentive them to work harder. Once he came to America, we shipped him to Huntsville, Alabama, where he built the Saturn V, the rocket used in the Apollo program, and got us to the moon. Right now there's a radioactive pile of trash in St. Louis and the surrounding rivers, which got infected with all the rain washing away the radioactive trash into the rivers, gave cancer to many people since the 1950s. I remember something about a heart attack gun I read some time ago. Basically a poison gun that once shot is untraceable in the victim's body and leaves no mark on their body. 3 if it sounds really vague. Operation Northwoods. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.